Today on Rappler, Zaldi Ampatuan becomes a defendant in the Maguindanao Massacre case after a decision by the Supreme Court.
It was not my intention to bring the name of the PBA into all of this. My frustrations got the best of me. There is no game fixing in the PBA. There never was.
PBA basketball player Don Aliado retracts PBA game fixing allegations. And Peace Panel Chairman Marvic Leonen says he's cautiously optimistic a political settlement with the MILF will happen within the year.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. It's final. A prominent son of Patriarch Ampatuan Sr. will not escape the charges against his father and brothers. Former Maguindanao Governor Ampatuan Sr., along with his son Unsay, are the main suspects in the Ampatuan massacre that killed 58 journalists and civilians. Another son, former Autonomous Region Chairman Zaldi Ampatuan, is asking the Supreme Court to reverse a Court of Appeals ruling affirming a Justice Department decision including him in the case. Zaldi claims he was in Manila when the massacre happened. The department, now headed by Justice Secretary Leila de Lima, is ordering that Zaldi Ampatuan be reinstated in the murder case, arguing he was present during the planning of the massacre. An April 2010 resolution of the DOJ under former Secretary Alberto Agra, under then President Gloria Arroyo, absolved Zaldi from the massacre case. The Maguindanao massacre was meant to stop rival politician Esmael Mangudadatu from filing his candidacy. Mangudadatu was running against Ampatuan Jr. in the 2010 race for governor. Peace Panel Chairman Marvic Leonen says a final political settlement with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front may not be far off. Leonen says he hopes an agreement would be in place by the end of 2012. The former dean of the UP College of Law says a key factor in negotiations is President Aquino. MILF leaders are convinced Aquino is sincere. December last year, it seemed like it was at another deadly impasse, and then this year it switched dramatically. I know that the president spoke with the head of the MILF as well, with Chairman Murad. But you know, what's changed now? Why are you, in your words, cautiously optimistic?
Yes. First, I think the meeting of the president with Murad, August of last year, this was almost a year ago.
Yes.
I think solidified the impression of the MILF, especially its leadership, that the president is sincere.
Yes.
Sincere in the sense that he's wanting an agreement. This is not talk for the purposes of just keeping the talks going.
Yes.
They know that the president talks turkey. That is, that the president will do what he promises, and he will not promise something that he will not do. There has been no skirmish between the MILF and the GPH so far, but both sides agreed to leapfrog to the final part of the series, which is to talk about the final political settlement. So starting last year, the parties negotiated on the substantive points that will go into a final political settlement. And this is the MILF calls it the Bangsamoro question itself.
Yes.
And the government accepts that frame, that we are going to solve the Bangsamoro question, which will mean finally, hopefully, ink an agreement at the soonest possible time.
So it looks like on Saturday, the MILF opens its main camp, Camp Darapanan, to consultations. Nearly 500,000 people are expected. President Aquino denies reports the Philippines will ask the U.S. to send spy planes to monitor disputed areas in the South China Sea. He says the Philippines has not and will not yet request aerial surveillance. But Aquino says, quote, if the country lacks the capacity, the Philippines can approach the U.S. to boost its situational awareness in the West Philippine Sea. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hong Lei says the Philippines should refrain from making provocative remarks on the dispute. Aquino says it's not clear to him what provocative statements China's referring to. He adds, Lei should balance what he's saying with the truth. President Aquino confirms his Liberal Party is creating an alliance with the Nacionalista Party and the Nationalist People's Coalition. Aquino says the ruling party will likely end up working with NP, headed by his rival in the 2010 polls, Senator Manny Villar. The LP's main adversary, Vice President Jejobar Binay's United Nationalist Alliance, says it was also in talks with the NP and NPC. NP has two candidates within the Magic 12 of the latest Pulse Asia senatorial survey. Re-electionist Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, who ranks 3 to 5, and former Las Piñas Representative Cynthia Villar at 11 to 21. Another re-electionist who tops the survey is Senator Loren Legarda, who belongs to the NPC. LP stalwart and Budget Secretary Butch Abad confirms the LP has been talking to both Senators Villar and Cayetano. NP stalwart Cavite Representative Boying Remulla tells Rappler talks of an alliance between LP and NP are looking good. But Remulla notes bitter rivalries in the local level is a potential problem. It's easy at the national level, he says. What is problematic is the local level. There are areas where the NP and LP are bitter rivals, among them Cavite and Taguig City. LP's candidate in Taguig City, Dante Tinga, filed an election protest against Mayor Larny Cayetano, wife of Senator Cayetano. In Imus, Cavite, LP candidate Emmanuel Maliksi and NP bet Homer Sakilayan clash in a series of acrimonious court battles for the mayor's seat. The Sandigan Bayan allows retired National Police Comptroller Eliseo de la Paz and his wife to travel to the U.S. The couple is charged in the Graft Court for violating a Bangko Central circular. The two were caught in Russia with undeclared cash amounting to 105,000 euros, more than 5 million pesos, in 2008. They're allowed to travel after posting travel bonds totaling 26,000 pesos for the former police official and 20,000 pesos for his wife. De La Paz also faces criminal charges for working in the Philippine National Police after the mandatory retirement age of 56. The court says the prosecution raised no objections to the couple's travel as long as conditions ensuring their return are met. The De La Paz couple will attend a wedding and an international conference. Prominent Bataan lawyer Joe Frank Zuniga is still missing. The 54-year-old lawyer was last seen June 20th in Subic, Freeport. His car was found the next day in an isolated area in Zambales. A witness claims he saw someone park the car and then board a white vehicle. The family's lawyer, Harry Roque, thinks the case is not a kidnapping for ransom.
I think this is an enforced disappearance, no? Which may be related to his work or may be related to the fact that he is a church leader within the Methodist Church. No?
Zuniga is the secretary of the Philippine Methodist Church, a breakaway group from the United Methodist Church. He left the UMC after exposing alleged corruption in the organization. Zuniga's family met with Justice Secretary Leila de Lima Wednesday. De Lima promised to form a task force to search for the missing attorney. The Justice Secretary says she will do her best to locate Zuniga, but adds that there are currently no suspects. Roque says this is the fourth case of a missing person this year. He adds the government must be vigilant in its response to enforced disappearances and cases of extra-legal killings.
The international community has already sent a very clear message that the Philippines needs to do a lot more in protecting and promoting, particularly the right to life.
A teary-eyed and apologetic Don Aliado faces the media to take back his allegations that Philippine Basketball Association games are fixed. PBA Commissioner Chito Salud holds a closed-door meeting with Aliado, his team's head coach, manager, and Aliado's father, who is a PBA agent. The Barako Bulls Center retracts the game-fixing statements he made on Twitter after a loss eliminating his team from the PBA Governor's Cup. He now says the PBA is the best league in Asia.
It was not my intention to bring the name of the PBA into all of this. My frustrations got the best of me. There is no game fixing in the PBA. There never was. The PBA I consider is my home. And I would never do anything to harm its name or its integrity. This is the best league in Asia.
Salud accepts Aliado's apology but slaps a 500,000 peso fine and bans him from one conference. The sanctions are final.
I am happy to note that Don Aliado has issued an apology, and I think that is a virtue. Admission of fault, where there is clearly fault, is a virtue that everyone should nourish and nurture. While I laud his passion for the game, this kind of behavior cannot be tolerated.
Two-time NBA Most Valuable Player Steve Nash joins forces with Kobe Bryant in the Los Angeles Lakers. ESPN reports a 3-year, $25 million sign-and-trade deal will send the 38-year-old point guard from the Phoenix Suns to the LA Lakers. In an earlier deal, 3-time All-Star Deron Williams agrees to a 5-year, $98 million contract to stay with the Brooklyn Nets. Williams announced his decision on Twitter with a link to the Nets logo. The top 2 point guards in free agency are now off the market. Contracts will officially be signed on July 11th when the league-wide moratorium for deals is lifted. Hong Kong lawmakers seek to oust their new leader less than a week after he took office in the middle of the biggest demonstrations in the city in nearly a decade. Around 400,000 people protested Sunday against new chief executive Lun Chong-ying. Democratic Party Chairman Albert Ho says he filed 2 legal cases with the High Court. Leung allegedly made false statements during the election campaign. He earlier said his house had no illegal improvement works, a controversial issue in Hong Kong. But local media discovered his home in an upscale neighborhood has 6 illegal structures. Leung apologized and quickly demolished them. Ho claims Leung engaged in, quote, illegal conduct by making a, quote, false and misleading statement. He asks the court to decide whether Leung was duly elected. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 1, Standard & Poor's upgrades its credit rating for the Philippines, bringing it 1 notch below investment grade. This is the highest in 9 years. Its reason? An improving fiscal position and debt level. The government says this is the 8th positive ratings action under the Aquino administration. At number 4, was Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat killed by Israel? Many in the Arab world say Israel saw Arafat as an obstacle to peace between the two countries after decades of fighting. Israel denies this. Arafat died in 2004 at a military hospital outside Paris. His widow, who fears he was poisoned, requested an autopsy after a Swiss lab found a lethal radioactive isotope on Arafat's belongings. At number 5, an HIV home test will soon be out on the market. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration approves the OraQuick test, which uses a mouth swab and gives results in 20 to 40 minutes. AIDS researchers call this a positive step forward in controlling the 30-year-old epidemic. At number 6, a smaller, cheaper iPad may be in the works. Apple's component suppliers in Asia are preparing for mass production in September of what some are calling the iPad mini. The tablet market has expanded with Amazon's Kindle and Google's Nexus 7, both cheaper than the $500 iPad. Apple's new tablet is expected to have a screen smaller than 8 inches compared to the iPad's 9.7 inches. And at number 7, are Filipinos writing anonymously for a journalism outsourcing company in the U.S.? Well, apparently so. Journatic, a local news content provider, has offshore staff in the Philippines. The company admits submitting fake bylines to some of its clients. Editors of the Chicago Sun-Times and Gatehouse Media say they would no longer use Journatic. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. For a long time, people thought December 21, 2012 meant the end of days on the Mayan calendar. But archaeologists now say the date is actually a reference to a politically unstable period in Mayan history. Researchers discovered a 1,300-year-old text with a reference to the 2012 date in Guatemala. It is known as Hieroglyphic Stairway 2. Archaeologists say the text talks about La Corona's ancient political history rather than prophecy. Researchers say the ancient Mayans used the calendar to promote continuity and stability rather than to predict apocalypse. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Mood Navigator. The dominant mood today, like yesterday, remains at inspired. It's interesting, it's still 10 stories basically covered in green. But let's take a look at the 2 stories that pop out. The first, this one that says, study shows spanking boosts odds of mental illness. 52% sad, the highest vote on emotion on that story. And then the other one that pops out from the green is this one in blue. 75% amused for the viral story on Thor and the Avengers hangover. As people here in Rappler said, it is Thursday. Anyway, that's Rappler's newscast for today, Thursday, July 5, 2012. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.